Hello everyone. In this video, we will look at the one-click document classification and we'll see how we can easily create a document classification machine learning model through the document understanding. Then we will see how we can use the same data set to train the models, machine learning models to do the data extraction. And finally, we'll see one of the new features in the taxonomy manager, the field level validation and use of it. So let's get started. So we are in the document understanding application over here. You can access it through this option. So the first thing you need to do is you just need to create a project. Now I have already created a project for this, but I will show you some of the steps and then I will move into the one that I have already created so it's easier. Okay, so how we can create a project is just by clicking on this new project. So I will just say demo for now. And yeah, under advanced options, you will see the OCR method, API key. If it's UiPath document OCR, it is automatically picked from here. And if it's the UiPath OCR URL, it is already here. And we just can say apply OCR on PDFs auto. So these are the default properties. You can change it as you wish. There are a lot of OCR engines that you can use. So let's create this project. So once you have the project, you can go inside and here we see a couple of options. You can see the document types, extractors, and the classifiers. So this is in public preview. So the first thing is we need to define the document types for us to train a classifier. So earlier what we used to do is we used to go into AI Center and use another machine learning model that's available in the out-of-the-box packages called document classifier and used to train the documents from there. But this is much more easier. So how we can do this is first we need to create a couple of document types. So in this case, I have sample document types like invoices and purchase orders. In each, I have 10 files like this. So first step is creating a new type. So under this button, we have two options. One is you can either use Forms AI for fixed layout forms, or else you can use semi-structured AI, which means it will take you to AI Center and you can train a classifier for any type of model. That could be semi-structured or even structured, whatever the document is. So in my case, it's semi-structured documents. So you can basically use the combination of both here, depending on your documents. So I will just use only the semi-structured AI. So all I need to do is just click on this option and then give a name for the AI Center project. So what this means is whenever you create this, it will actually create another project in the AI Center with this name. So if you go into AI Center, I already have something called demo. So let me change the name. So I will name it like this, demo video. So once I create it, it will ask for a session name. So this basically means the type of the documents. So first I will say invoices. So the interesting thing here is you can even use out of the box ML models to train your model. So it's something like you already have a set of AI models and you are using the capabilities of those AI models to train another AI model. It's pretty cool. So in my case, I will just use this one. invoices. So this is the invoices out of the box model. And once you select that, it will show you out of the box regular fields, the model which is already trained, and these are the fields that's available in the model. So just for the time being, I will not select everything. I will just go with the first few and I'll deselect the remaining ones. You can basically do this depending on your requirement. And then here you have the column fields. And again, I'll keep the first few and remove the rest. The other option you have is if you are dealing with different currencies, you can even select those here. Don't worry if you don't see your currency here, you can always add it once the project is created. So for now, let's keep all these things. And so we just selected some fields based on the model we selected over here, the out of the box model. But let's say you have some extra fields, extra regular fields and extra column fields that you need to train on. You can define how many extra columns you need. And depending on that, it will create a provision for you once uh, the structure is created. You will see a couple of extra columns in the document manager. So I will not change that now. And here we have the number of languages. So if you're having documents with multiple languages, you can define how many languages you have. And this is another important one. So when we talk about semi-structured documents, like invoices, for example, we have so many different layouts. So we need to identify how many layouts we are dealing with because we need to train the model for all those layouts to get the best possible accuracy. So in my case, it's like 10 different layouts because I have 10 different invoices. So I will just select 10. So you can see depending on the numbers and the configuration here, it says you need to have at least 50 documents to train it to get a good, good accuracy level or good confidence level. So this will change based on your selection. So let's stick with 10. And once you create, this will create your project over here. So it's taking me to the document manager. So we'll quickly check these two places. So here you can see the invoices, the new document type. And on the projects, if you refresh this page, let me quickly refresh. You can see demo video. This is the one I just created. And if you go inside, you see you have a data set called invoices and the rest is not available here. You don't see anything under data labeling because it's happening from this place. And for the data sets, you will see the invoices one which we just created. So let's get to the document manager now. So these are the fields we selected. And if you select any custom field option, you will see extra columns over here. And in case if you want to change the currency classification, you can easily edit and add or remove anything from here. Okay, so what's left is we just need to import the documents here. So let's quickly import. So I will say batch one, select all my invoices, and drag it over here. So for us to train a classifier, we don't need to label each and every document. All you need is just have all the documents over here, the different layouts that you're going to use. And it will automatically figure out what kind of a document it is based on the training. So you hit import to import all the documents. So let's give it like a couple of seconds to complete the upload. In the meantime, you can also use this same data set for the data labeling as well. So it's just using one data set to do both. You train a classifier and you also train an extractor. And extractor training is same as before, as we used to do. It's just labeling the documents. So once you have done this, click on close and you have the documents over here. So before moving into the other document type, I'll quickly show you one interesting feature. It's this predict option. So if you remember, we selected out of the box model when we created this screen. So what happens when you click on predict is it will use that out of the box model to actually predict the values over here. So earlier we used to label each and every field, but with this predict feature, you can actually use the capabilities of that AI model and automatically extract the values. You can see it selected the currency, selected these fields, and here are the line items. You can see even with multiple lines, it was able to accurately identify that. So I'm not going to do the labeling for each and every document here, but when you get into labeling, this is how you can do. You can click on predict, let it label it, and then if there are any mistakes, you can review and change it. And let's say you want to change the invoice number. All you need to do is just select the proper uh, word or the set of words and click on this shortcut key. Press on the shortcut key so that the value gets updated. So I'm not going to do any of that now. So this is all we need to do. So we basically don't need to label anything for us to train a classifier. All we need is just have the documents here. Labeling can happen later if you want to use that data set for the extraction. So our invoice import is done. And now let's try the purchase orders. So we just need to create another semi-structured AI, and this time it's purchase order. And make sure this does not have any spaces. And again, I will use the purchase order model, and I'll just select a couple of fields from here just for our purpose. And same from column items. Okay, let's say we only have this. I don't have any custom fields. I just have another 10 layouts. It's the same procedure. And then again, that will take you to another document manager session for the purchase orders. So now we have two sessions. And if we quickly review, here you have the purchase orders. And on this side, if you refresh the data sets, you will see purchase orders. And under invoices, you see nothing because you have not done any exports from the document manager. Okay, so for the purchase orders, same approach. You just need to import And that way you can train our classifier. So let me quickly show you once this import is done. So what we do with these documents is, and same way we trained the invoices, you can do it for purchase orders. Or if you have a different other document types, you can still work on it. So let's see what other out of the box options are available as soon as this import is done before we actually train a classifier. Okay, so our import is done for purchase orders. And here we have the documents. So same as before, you can click on predict and label the documents when it's needed. So as I promised, I will not create any other document type, but let's just see what options we have over here. So here we have custom document types. Yeah, so in case you are not going to use any of these options over here, so we have titles, different document types, financial statements, bank statements, contracts, utility bills, basically all the out of the box options you have in AI Center, out of the box packages. And if you need to use any other document type that is not listed here, you can always use this custom document type and you can train it for those. Just like we did here, but only difference is you will not have the predict option because it will not have any custom models that you can use. Okay, so let's cancel it. And these are the two options that we are going to use. And all you need to do is just click on classify. And here we have two options, automated training or manual training. So what's the difference? Manual training is when you select this, it will only do the export. It will export the data to our data set that we saw in the AI Center. And you can use that data set within the AI Center to create a training pipeline. But with automatic training, it will do that for you. So if I select this, it will ask what's the classifier name. So I will say um, custom demo classifier, let's say. And I just need to select what are the different document types I need from what I created and click on train. Yeah, so when we tried to create it earlier, it had a red color validation saying you have to have at least less than 10 documents. So in my case, I have 10 documents in both places. So as a quick resolution, just click on the refresh so that you can see it updates the page count here. And then you can create your next one, demo classifier, and then select the options. So that will resolve that option, the issue. And then you just can click on train. And if you go into classifiers, you can see that this is being trained at the moment. So this will take a while. So because of that, I will quickly go back and use the one that I already have with me. So let me close these extra things so that I can show you the one that I already have. So it is the document understanding demo. So I have two types, the same two types over here. And I have actually done the labeling as well for these using that same method I showed you. And under classifiers, I have the classifier already available. So as soon as that training is done, it will have the status available, and it will also give you these options. So if you click on detail, it will give you the dataset link, the score details. This is basically referring to the confidence levels and the accuracies. So I trained it on very less number of documents. Then you have the pipeline details that it automatically created to train our model, and then the machine learning skill. So this is a public skill. So you can get the URL from here. Copy URL. So let me just quickly show you the extraction part as well. I'll just show you for one. So here I have done the labeling just like I showed you earlier. And all I did is I can export it from here directly. So once you do the export, so for the extractors, here we don't have the export option like under this extractors. But we can create it from here using the same old method. So you can export as you usually do. Click on all labeled and then export it. So this will go and get exported into your data sets. So this is my previous data set. Sorry, there's another one. It is the document understanding demo. Sorry for that. So here under data sets, I have the invoices, purchase orders, and here you can see the export, which I did earlier. It's the same method that we have in our previous videos. And then you can use the pipeline to train it based on that export and then create the ML skill. So for the classifier, it automatically created it for me once it was done through the classifier option. So this is the first part. So this way, with very quick steps, we can get a classifier up and running. So you don't need to do any labeling. All you need to do is just import the documents, run the automatic training, and you have the model available in few minutes. And then the use of it, I can quickly show you over here. So here I have used the document classifier scope and I'm using the machine learning classifier. So this is the endpoint or the URL I got. API key you already know. It is coming from the admin page and we can configure the classifiers from here. So it will show you the document types we trained it on. So that way we can get the classification easily from an AI model. So I will run this and show you, but before that, let me just quickly show you one thing. So we basically covered two topics. First one is create a classification skill and then using the same data set to do the labeling and export that data and perform the extraction skill creation. So if you want to go into very detail on these topics, you can refer to my machine learning skill training videos. I have a separate series on that. So it's the same procedure over there. So yes, so we covered two, and the last one is the field level validation. So let me show you how it is done. So in the taxonomy manager, I'm using the latest version. if you go into the document types, so here I have the invoices, here I have the purchase orders. So I did the field level validation just for a video purpose for these two fields, the client name and the total amount in purchase orders. So where to do that is you can select the field and go into rules option, and here you can create any rule. So we have a couple of operators here and or and critical level is either should or must. Now what is should is here you can see should indicates rule which are not mandatory but rather a guidance. But when you say it's a must, that means that condition must be fulfilled, and it is a important thing. No. So how you can create a rule is you can add new. So I already have one which I created that says this field should not be empty. So likewise, you can create more conditions. So for every condition, you can add a name, and you can say how your condition is going to look like. So you can say either it is starting with something, ending with something, or contains, or even you can have a regex. And based on your selection over here, it will do the validation behind the scenes and it will give you the result. So in my case, so also once you create a rule, give a meaningful name for this, just like I have done for the top one. So let me just delete this one. So here I'm saying it should not be empty, and this is my description. And I have done the same thing for the total amount. The field should not be empty. So this will depend on the type you select in here, the data type. So here is a name, here is a number. So that is how you define the field level validations in in the taxonomy manager as business rules. So once you have done that, then you can easily consume it in your studio. So all we need to do is here we have the present classification right after classification scope, and we need to look through the classification, and inside that we have the data extraction scope, and again we are using the machine learning extractor for the skills we created using the same data set. And here we have the present validation station. So before showing you how to do the field level validation, let me run this whole process once and then get to the last one. So I have actually hard coded the document path here because it's for a video, and this is a purchase order. So let's quickly run it and see. And the other interesting thing I wanted to share is while this thing executes is when you have a lot of documents to train, you can actually use the same document manager, import all the document variations you have there, and do the labeling using the same methods. You can even create different schemes. You can uh, categorize those documents based on your needs, do all that, and then you can easily export it and train the machine learning models from there itself. So it is very easy when it comes to using that, because that way you can maintain one data set to handle both extraction and classification in case you are using machine learning for both of those. So here we can see the model was able to predict that this is a purchase order, and it was 77% confident. So now let's quickly see how the extraction was done. So I only created the extraction for the purchase order. I did not create for invoices, though I did the labeling. And here you can see for the purchase order document, we have all the fields, and it was able to accurately extract based on my training. So I don't have the line items here because it's again for the purpose of showing this to you. But you can see one interesting thing. So I have the field level validation for two fields, client name and the total amount. And here you can see, based on how I define it, it should be the should, it is not a must field. And you can see the condition, what it is. This should not be empty. Same goes here. So this is how the validation screen will show you this info. But we also need to know this information before we put everything into manual verification. How you do that is, let me just click on submit here so I can stop the run. So how you can do that is, once you get the extraction results from the data extraction scope, we anyway do a validation before getting into manual verification. So in our validation logic, we can use that information, which is available in the auto extraction result variable, and we can build our validation logic, the conditions based on that. So how you can access the field level validations that we did in the taxonomy manager is, there's a property in this variable which we can use. So for that, let me just quickly enable this breakpoint so I can show that to you while it is running. So let's run this again real quick. So we first get the classification, and then the data extraction will happen. And before executing the validation station, so I'm not going to write any logic, but I'll show you that in the immediate run. And then based on that, we can figure out how we can build the logic. So it is the auto extraction results variable. And after this dot, you have this new thing, business rules result. If you go inside that, you can see a lot of information. Let me expand this a bit. So here you can see rule set result. There are two items. So this is kind of an array. So we have the validations for two fields, and that's why we have two here. So if we go here and select the first one, it gives the results only for that field. And here, how do we know which one is which? It's actually based on the order of the fields we defined in the taxonomy manager. And here, it gives you only the fields that you have the validation defined. And again, it's in the same order as you see here. The first one is um, the client name. Here you can see the value. And the second one is the total amount. So in my case, when I say zeroth position, it gives me the client name. And here in the result, you can see that field value result, it is valid. So the condition is valid and there is no issue with the condition. So we can even check that. So we can get the field ID and what the results are. So along with this, you also get the field value and whether this result is true or not. So basically, based on this thing, you can, and for the condition, you can also have multiple conditions. So that's why we have an option here. So you can get the value. This is the actual value and whether it is valid. So you can see the condition is true. So using these options, you can build your own validation logic when you're creating the flowchart probably to build your validation. So this is one interesting feature because there are a lot of cases where we need to validate the content in fields like amounts, and when it comes to text addresses, we need to write a lot of logic. And with these kind of features in Taxonomy Manager, well, still there are a lot more things that they will or they can add to make this experience much better. But these features are very much helpful to easily validate the content or the data in these fields. So this is how we can actually easily create a classification and easily use the same data set to build an extraction, and then using the taxonomy manager, this is how we do the field level validation. So you have all three in one video. So with that, that's it for this particular video. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was helpful in understanding this concept. So if there are any questions, feel free to put it down in comments, or you can always reach out, and I'll do my best to answer each and every one of you. So thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in another interesting video. Bye for now.